Lightness is one of the most important topics in the world that's not talked about enough. And why is that? It's because we're used to dividing our lives into the superficial things we do, the superficial things we feel, from buying some gadget on Amazon to going to see a cheap Hollywood movie. And we contrast this superficiality with depth. So once we've done the cheap stuff, let's go and read some profound metaphysical literature. Let's listen to some profoundly serious music, you name it. What's missing from this picture? What's missing from this is that there is a sense of lightness that's actually not the opposite of depth, but actually an expression of this depth. We're going to talk about the extraordinary essay on lightness that Italo Calvino wrote very shortly before he died. We're going to talk about the way that Nietzsche finished his book, The Gay Science. We're going to talk briefly about Beethoven's sense of lightness. And finally, we're going to talk about lightness as experienced by the great philosopher Vlad Vexler, whose YouTube channel you're watching. So let's go. Let's dip into Italo Calvino's essay and just use his words to ground a little bit, but not too much, what we are talking about. If I had to choose an auspicious sign for the approach of the new millennium, he's writing in the mid-80s, I would choose this: the sudden nimble leap of the poet, philosopher, who lifts himself against the weight of the world, proving that its heaviness contains the secret of lightness, while what many believe to be the life forces of the times, loud and aggressive roaring and rumbling, belongs to the realm of death, like a graveyard of rusted automobiles. Calvino is setting us up by contrasting lightness with weight and heaviness, but not contrasting it with depth. He's talking about a thoughtful lightness, a lightness that's connecting us to the experience of being in this world. The most important thing said in the history of the Western world about lightness was said by Nietzsche. It's something he said twice. In one of the places he says it is in the preface to The Gay Science, one of his three most important books. He said that the ancient Greeks were superficial out of profundity. There was a lightness that was available to them that's no longer available to us. It's not something we could re-enchant ourselves into. It's just gone. It's gone because we know too much. We know too much history. We know too much science. We know too much about where we've come from, how we're motivated. We know too much for that. And yet, can we live without it? That's a very Nietzsche sort of problem to put on our table. Now, let's briefly look at how he ends The Gay Science. First, he gives us gaiety. He says, let's return to the ideal of a spirit that plays naively, i.e., not deliberately, but from overflowing abundance and power, with everything that was hitherto called holy, good, untouchable, divine. Then we return to the weight of life. And in spite of all this, it is perhaps only with it that the great seriousness really emerges. That the real question mark is posed for the first time. That the destiny of the soul changes. The hand of the clock moves forward and tragedy begins. And so, having gone from lightness into heaviness, we're now going to come out into a more refined, more mature, more distilled kind of lightness. Perhaps a simplicity that's gone through complexity and come back out again. No, not such sounds. Let us rather strike up more pleasant, more joyous tones. And this is a reference to Schiller's Ode to Joy that appears in the final choral movement of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. My bagpipes are waiting, my throat too. It may sound a bit rough, but put up with it. After all, we're in the mountains. At least what you're about to hear is new, and if you don't understand it, if you don't understand the singer, what does it matter? This happens to be the singer's curse. You will be able to hear his music and tune so much the better, and so much the better will you be able to dance to his pipe. Is that what you want? At the end of his life, Beethoven gave us the Diabelli Variations, the greatest piece of piano music ever written by anybody. And it's a fundamentally light, fundamentally humorous piece. It's the greatest musical expression of a sense of lightness that's gone through a heaviness and then come back out, armed with the capacity for a constructive relationship with the complexity of life, armed with the capacity for distilled experience. And in his great essay on the Diabelli Variations, the pianist and writer Alfred Brendel ends with his own translation of a very appropriate line from Kleist's essay on the marionette theatre, one of the greatest expressions of romantic literature. And the line is, when perception passes through infinity, gracefulness reappears. Lightness has meant a lot to me. Lightness as expressed by at least these three figures that we've talked about. For a period in my life, I couldn't walk and talk and move or think or read due to a neuroimmune health condition. And when that happened to me, I was a young postgrad student in my early 20s. It was difficult. But over the years, as I continued to improve, but also live with the limitations this disability imposed upon me despite the improvement, I developed a capacity to feel lightness. It's a feeling that, of course, accepts the reality of life. It accepts that things sometimes don't go well, that luck is involved, that sometimes one may be suffering quite a lot physically, or that one might be limited from doing what one wants, or from even being what one is fully. But it's a feeling that allows one to dance with one's predicament. It's a feeling that allows one to see what's good and what's bad in life as, of course, real in both cases, but as not something that's divided in the cleanest possible way. It's not a black or white world, no matter how well things go for you, but also no matter how badly things go for you. It goes with words like fun, like joy, like playfulness, like a physical embodied readiness to always be surprised by what life brings. The possibility to be surprised is always around the corner. And even when one is limited in a very definitive way, so there are certain things that one sometimes just can't do because of some health limitations. But even then, there is always the question, what does it mean? What are these obstacles, really? Can I explore them? And just because I can't go out and, run a kilometer outside, it doesn't mean that it's completely clear what I can or can't do. It's always an exploration. This border is always an exploration. It's always a question, can I think about this in a slightly different way, because perhaps some things are possible that I didn't realize were possible before, even without my circumstances changing. And so, of course, it's a feeling that is very much connected with a sense of reality, which says that, look, when one is able to do everything one wants, one is so much in love with life, and this is absolutely fantastic. But also, when things are not going well, yeah, the songs, the dance, the poems, that stuff does not stop. And we're going to keep talking about this. So like this video or dislike it, and click the bell button to be notified of the next time that you and I are going to talk together.